to the stick!
I spent the last week playing with the Xbox Series X. It is one of two new consoles from Microsoft coming out in the Xbox line next week. The Xbox Series X is the higher end model. It retails for $500. It looks like a box. I'd say it looks like a speaker sort of box. Actually, like having it in my apartment, it feels much smaller and compact than I expected. And when you see it next to the PlayStation 5, Sony's console, which is also coming out next week, you can see just what a monster that PlayStation 5 is compared to the Series X. So the Series X is the more powerful of the two Microsoft consoles. It is really designed to take advantage of 4K televisions. So if you have a 4K television, you will see a graphical improvement even on older Xbox games. If you don't have a 4K television, you won't necessarily see that graphical enhancement. The games handle better, if that sort of makes sense. So in Gears 5, for instance, you just notice like little things, like when the camera pans, there may have been instances in the past where you would see scan line or something on the game. You're not going to run into that just because it is so much more smoother in terms of frame rate. The Series S is a little bit less powerful. It is digital only. It doesn't have a disk drive. It also has some less memory space. I would say the Series S is probably designed for somebody who may be a console or PC gamer, somebody who may be a PlayStation gamer, and this allows them to get into the Xbox ecosystem. So what Microsoft is sort of doing, but their big picture idea is not necessarily to have you obsess over the tech. What I found with the Xbox is that it was probably the fastest and easiest console setup I've ever had. I plugged it in, turned it on. As soon as I signed into my account, it immediately recognized my entire Xbox library, and it recognized my Xbox 360 games, my Xbox One games. I was able to start downloading them in minutes. The whole idea was just to show you that gaming should be easy. That's the whole appeal of console games rather than PC games. You don't have to upgrade all this sort of stuff, because the main focus of Microsoft right now is on their Xbox Game Pass, which is their subscription service. So this is something that people throw around the term Netflix for games. It's not quite that, as you do have to download the games. So they do take up space on your hard drive, and games today can get pretty big, so you may have you may be having to do a lot of storage management and space management. At the same time, though, it's $14.99 for the most attractive tier of the Game Pass. That gives you access to a library of more than 100 games. Microsoft has already said, all of its first-party studio games like Halo are going to be available on Xbox Game Pass. So that's really sort of an attractive sort of way to experience a ton of games. It's probably the best deal in gaming right now. $14.99, and you get the sample hundreds of games. After spending the last 5-6 days with the Series X, it does have a really great feature that I really already love, and it's something I've always wanted. So there's this sort of quick resume feature that Microsoft has. Basically, when it's working, and it's worked for me pretty much seamlessly, you hit pause on the game and you could jump to another game, and you're within you could have 4 games paused at once, and you could basically jump through those 4 games within seconds. And you don't necessarily, so you can just keep 4 games running. If you're, nervous about getting to the next save point or checkpoint in a game, you can pause it. As long as you don't turn off the console, you'll have access to that quick resume sort of feature, and it should work. Initially, Microsoft was going to launch the console with its next chapter in its Halo series. That was pushed to next year. That will be on the Game Pass. So, if you're debating whether or not, you need to upgrade, one thing to point out, typically with new consoles, you're not really going to see experiences that are fully taking advantage of all that they can do for a year or two. So if you want to just sort of sit back and wait and see what sort of comes out, what sort of games are released for the Xbox that may appeal to you, don't feel like you need to rush out and buy it right away. These are living, breathing things that are going to continue to receive updates and continue to change, and continue to, if all goes as planned, change the way we experience games.